So, you're a fan of fans and want to build your own giant 9x9 Minecraft animated fan in your world? Well, you came to the right place. I'm Jake Kelton, and welcome to a block-by-block tutorial on how to build this giant animated fan. And before you ask, yes, it is Java only, unfortunately. Because try as I might to figure out how to adapt it for Bedrock, I just couldn't figure it out. The whole game system tick delay thing just totally broke me, and it's terrible. So I'm gonna have to come back to this one, sorry y'all. It's Java only for this time. So let's take a look at the materials that we need. Up at the top, you have all of your different redstone requirements, so you're going to need to collect all of that. It's honestly not too bad. Over here on the left, we have deep slate tiles, stone bricks, and tough bricks. Deep slate are going to be the tiles that we use behind the fan blades, but feel free to replace this with mud or, black concrete, whatever it is you feel like. Stone bricks is the wall of your structure, so feel free to match whatever structure it is that you're building with. And tough bricks are going to be the border around, which you don't necessarily have to have, but it certainly is very nice to have a border around your fan. Over here, we have the block of iron and pale oak trapdoors, which is going to be our actual fan color, but feel free to change this up too for whatever trapdoor color it is that you like. And then down here, we have lime glazed terracotta, which is not a part of the build. These are my fill blocks, just to make it very obvious, but feel free to use dirt or anything else that makes it really easy to have kind of a fill block when you need it. I also have down here these chiseled copper and copper trapdoors because I do like the design with copper, and I potentially will show that later, but I just wanted to point out that I do like the design with copper, and so you can consider using that as well. Before we get too much further, I want to thank Pineappley, who did post the original design on Reddit for being able to download. I reached out to them and they did give me permission to do a block-by-block tutorial for this so that you all can build your own fans. But I also did tweak it quite heavily to make sure that it wasn't going to break whenever you unload it, load it, leave your world, whatever. So I've added a lot of my own tweaks and kind of simplified it a good bit too. The total footprint for this build is going to be 13 blocks by 10 blocks, so make sure you measure out enough space for it. You can see that I have black and yellow every other, within every 5 being red, which makes it really easy to count. So 5, 10 plus 3, 5, 10, 10 total. And make sure that you know the direction that your fan is going to be facing in before getting started, which is where we have this blue indicator, this blue wool, to say this is where the center of our fan is going to be, which is actually going to be back by 1 block from our 13 by 10, as well as, if we come over here, it is going to be 7 blocks high. It's going to be the center of our fan. So if you already know exactly where your fan is going to be, go ahead and use these as your measurements to know exactly where to get started, because we're going to be building on this first row down here. For our first layer, we're going to keep things pretty simple, and where that center is going to be, you're going to run whatever your wall color is, which currently for us is going to be our stone bricks, all the way across the length of your fan. And then you're going to find that center point, and you're going to use your border color, whatever that is, which is going to be our tough color, and do 3 blocks across just in the center, which these are our slabs. So that's the bottom of what's going to be our big circle eventually. Go ahead and set your slabs aside for the second layer, because we're going to put our tough bricks across all of them, 1 more, plus our stairs on the other side. So we're going to extend by 1 over here as well, and add our stairs. And then we're going to run our stone bricks across the top once again to give ourselves that full layer of whatever our wall color is. Then we're going to grab our deep slate. We're going to find our center point, and we're going to add 3 just like this, 1 in the center and 1 on each side. So that way we have our starting of that's going to be the back of the fan. Find where your tough ends, and then 1 block further out from that, you're going to come back by 3. So I'm using my fill blocks for now. Place 2 wool. You're going to do that on the other side as well. 1, 2, 3. And then place the wool. And then we're going to go ahead and get rid of these fill blocks because we're not going to need them right now. All right, it's time for that redstone fun. Let's get out our repeaters and place 1 on each of the deep slate blocks. And we're going to hit them once each again, so that way they're all 2-tick repeaters. We're going to skip over to our tough bricks, and we're going to place our fill blocks, 3 of them in a row, just like that. And we're going to place our trapdoors as well against them. And that way the trapdoors will be flipping up like that, rather than flipping towards the actual rest of our box. On the sides, we're going to put our tough stairs on each of the directions like this. We're going to come in and add our tough bricks afterwards as well to fill it in a little bit more. Then you're going to extend those tough bricks out by 1 more. So now you have a 2 by 2. And then we're going to add our stone bricks as the wall on the outside. And we're doing that same thing on the other side as well, repeating it so your front looks something like this. Clear out some pesky neighbors, and then we're going to start placing some observers. So we're going to place 2 observers facing this note block, another note block, and 2 more observers facing that as well. So it should look something like this. We're going to switch over to our deep slate bricks, and we're going to place 1 on each side of our repeaters, another one as well, fill in the gap, and then we're going to place an extra one on each of these sides, so that way they extends out one direction. And then right behind our repeaters, we're going to place 3 observers facing these 2 observers and a note block as well. For our next layer, we're going to go ahead and start by that little extra wing we put with a deep slate. We're going to follow that forward and layer in all of our fill blocks, so that way it matches like so. And we're going to take our trapdoors and run them along the front as well. And then we're going to take our deep slate backing block and we're going to do the same. And then we're going to take our repeaters and run them into the deep slate brick. So we have a row of each, our fill block, followed by the trapdoors, followed by our deep slate bricks, followed by our repeaters. Finishing up at the front, we're going to place 2 of our tough bricks right there. And that way we can place our stairs here as well as our wall stone bricks. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Tough brick, stairs, and 2 stone bricks. Now we're going to go back to our fill blocks and again place them on each of the sides of our wool so that we can go up by 1. Take away those fill blocks, we won't need them. Add your redstone dust to each one of the tops of those pieces of wool. And then we're going to place another note block on top of this note block so they're stacked up too high. And it's time to place some observers. The first thing you're going to do with your observers is you're going to crouch and place them facing into the redstone dust, just like this. Then very simply, you're going to take your observers and run each one of them facing this direction. So 1 into that observer, 1 into this note block, 1 into that observer, and as it gets dusty in here, another observer. And with the weather cleared, we're going to run our observers once more facing into all of the observers and note blocks we have, and that way they power all of the repeaters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Done. To start the next row, we're going to take our fill blocks and run them across the top of all of our previous ones. And then we're going to run our trapdoors in front of those once again. But this time, instead of deep slate, we're going to run our repeaters, again, 2 ticks on each of them, across all of our deep slate tiles before. And now we're going to place our deep slate behind all of these repeaters. And you can usually just do 1 and then place them all next to each other, like this. However, we're also going to extend their deep slate bricks by coming around the corner to make sure we fill in these gaps along the sides, because we don't need to have any light peeking through. Let's finish up the front by placing 2 tough brick stairs on each of these sides here, followed by some more tough brick blocks, and again, our classic wall. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, 2 tough bricks with our wall. This time, to start our redstone, we're gonna take our fill blocks and place it right next to this note block over here by 1. And we're gonna go up another one, over by 1 more, and that way we can place an observer facing up into our fill blocks, and then we can kind of clear them out. On the right-hand side over here, we're actually missing an observer. I forgot to tell you to place, so we're going to go ahead and drop 1 down, and then we're going to place 2 more facing down into both of those. So we have 1 facing up on the left, 2 facing down on the right, like so. Now we can go ahead and grab our redstone dust, place it on top of the wool, and then we're going to take our observers, just like last time, and have them face into the redstone dust. And just like last time as well, we're going to run our observers facing into these over here. So it's going to be on top of the note block facing into this observer, 1, 2, 3. And then same thing with before, repeater line. You're going to make sure that there's an observer facing into whatever block is in front of it, in front of this repeater line. So we're going to do observer across the whole way, just like that. Now we're not quite done just yet with this layer. We're going to grab our wool and we're going to create a loop of them, a 3x3 with a hole in the middle. And then on the left corner down here, we're going to place 1 extra one. So something like that. Once again, we're going to go back to our fill blocks for the next layer, but this time we're going to come over by 1 more. So we're adding an extra 1, and then we're running all of our fill blocks across the top and adding 1 more on this side as well. And then we're grabbing our trapdoors and running our trapdoors across all of our fill blocks. And then we're going to use our deep slate to run our deep slate in front of all of the trapdoors. And our repeaters and run them across all of the deep slate down here, which will be powering into the deep slate that we just placed. Once again, all set to 2 ticks. This time, however, for the corners, we're going to be using our tough bricks, 1 in each of those spots, as well as our stone bricks as per normal. But this time we're adding our wall block into the corner. So it should look something like that. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Stone bricks, or tough brick, excuse me. Tough brick, stone brick, and into a tough wall brick. To start the redstone of this layer off, we're going to come to the top right-hand corner of our circle, and we're going to put 2 of our temporary blocks, and then we're going to come over by 5. That's going to give us the ability to place several observers facing up, which we're going to do on this outermost one. So 1, 2, 3 observers facing up. Then we're going to need to come here into the middle and temporarily remove this piece of wool so we can get down underneath it and place one observer facing up here. And then we can put that piece of wool back. Now we can remove all of our temporary blocks and clear them out. From here, we can add a new piece of wool on top of the one that we just replaced, as well as a glass over the hole that we have in the middle. Place our redstone dust across all the tops of the wool besides the one that we just finished placing, so it should look like that. For the observers, you're going to face the observers into the redstone dust, as we've done many times before. There and there. Then you're going to place an observer facing down on top of the next one, as well as 2 note blocks on each of those. And then to make sure that our observers are powering our repeaters, we're going to run a line of observers once again across all of these, facing into everything we just finished placing to power the repeaters. To start the next row, it's going to be a little bit different than we've done before, which is we're coming right through the middle. We're going to add 2 blocks of iron here and here, and then we're going to put our fill block on either side all the way out. Repeat the same thing we've done before with our tough bricks and our tough brick wall on each of the sides over here. So wall, bricks, stone bricks, and then we're going to come back and add a deep slate on each of these corners here, before we then come in with our trapdoors, our repeaters, set to 2 ticks each, and our deep slate. On our middle glass, we're going to go ahead and place 1 piece of redstone dust, and then on either side, we're going to place glass on top of the redstone dust on both of those. Then we're going to place a repeater on this piece of wool here, followed by wool on either side of the repeater, with the repeater set to 2 ticks as well. We're going to continue our wool on this side of the glass here. We're going to come out by 2, but we're going to break this one. And then we're going to fill in 2 by 2 in this area here. So now we have this kind of little 2 by 3, except by there's a hole here in the middle. We're going to place a temporary block above this space, come underneath it, and add an observer facing up, and remove our temporary blocks. We're going to go ahead and grab another note block and drop it right here in front of the repeater with some observers facing either side. And then we're going to have some more fill blocks in front of these 3 observers here. And we're going to continue them facing up. So 1, 2, 3. And you can go ahead and remove those temporary blocks. And then we're going to have 3 more observers facing down here, onto the note block here, and onto this note block there. And then, as we've done before, we're going to run observers across the whole way facing all of those, except right in the middle. We're going to place a deep slate block and then continue our observers on the other side to send that signal forward. So this is what it should look like. We are officially halfway done, so let's keep going. We're going to take our temporary blocks and we're going to fill all the way across the front as we've done before. We're going to take our tough bricks and our tough brick walls, our stone walls, our tough bricks, tough brick wall, and our stone bricks, not walls, excuse me. And then we're going to do what we've done before with our trapdoors all the way across our temporary blocks with the deep slate behind them. and the observers on all of these at 2 ticks. We're going to start the redstone by taking our white wool blocks that are on either side of our repeater and continuing them up at an angle by 1. So up at an angle by 1. Then we're going to take our redstone and place it here, here, and on the glass. So that way our chain of redstone starts to climb up these white wool blocks. We'll continue that in a moment. Over here, we're going to do our comparator clock. So we're going to add redstone here, here, with a repeater facing this direction at 2 ticks, repeater facing the other direction at 2 ticks. So we're kind of making a loop. We're going to place a redstone block here, as well as a comparator. And we're going to click the comparator one time to switch it into subtraction mode, I believe it's called. We want to put 1 block on the back of the comparator, but the easiest way to do that is just to place 2 blocks and clear 1 down here, and then throw a lever on this side. And this is what will start and stop our clock. But you can go ahead and leave it off for now. For our observers, we're going to start by placing a block here and here on top of it. These are temporary blocks, which we will remove, so we'll go ahead and take that one away because we're putting 1 observer facing up this direction here. We'll go ahead and clear that. Then we'll set 2 note blocks here and here, as well as 2 observers facing into the redstone here and into this redstone line here, with 1 facing down on the note block there. Then over here, we're going to continue with our observers facing down, 1, 2, 3. And like all of the other lines, we're going to do observers facing this direction for all the way across. For the next row, we're finally starting to get to that top arch. So we're going to come in by 1 for our temporary blocks and only place them down. So it should be 7 across the top of the temporary blocks. Then we're going to come to one side and place our tough brick blocks there and there, just on top of the other ones we've had before, so we can place our tough brick stairs in those 2 places. And then we have our stone bricks in the corner. Same thing on this side, tough brick stairs facing down, and our stone bricks. And we're going to go ahead and drop our deep slate tiles in the corners here and here in front of where the stairs are. Then we can place our pale oak trapdoors in front of all of our temporary blocks. Our redstone repeaters, 2 ticks each in front of all of the trapdoors. And our deep slate tiles in front of all of the repeaters. For the redstone, we're going to start once again with our white wool by going up and out by 1 with each of these pieces of white wool here. But this time we're going to take this piece of white wool on this side in front of our 2 note blocks, and we're going to carry it up and over with temporary blocks, so that way we can place some observers facing up here and here that will be powering into the note blocks. Before we forget, let's go ahead and make sure we add our redstone dust to each of the tops of the original white wool blocks there and there. And now we're going to place a note block over here in the corner, an observer facing down, an observer facing this piece of redstone dust, 3 observers facing this observer, 1 more facing the dust, and then our line of observers facing all of these. For the next row, we're going to start with our temporary blocks once again, and we're going to fill the whole row of 7. But this time we're putting our tough brick blocks on the insides on top of those original stairs, and we'll put some stairs on the outside corners facing in for the top of the arch. And then we'll use our stone bricks to kind of fill in those gaps and make it look solid. Then we're going to come along and add our trapdoors in front of our temporary blocks. We're going to put the deep slate in front of all of the trapdoors and the redstone repeaters in front of all of the deep slate bricks. Set to 2 ticks, of course. Again, for the redstone, we're going to start with our white wool, carrying these diagonals of white wool up by 1 each. But this time on this side, we're going to place 1 over the note block as well. So you just have 1 extra piece of white wool over there. We're going to place our redstone here and here to continue those lines up and out to the sides. This time we're also going to use our temporary blocks to put a observer facing up on the very outside edge here, just like that. And now we've got some observer spamming to do. So facing the redstone, once again here, and once again over here. And this time we're going to do one observer facing this one that's watching the redstone with a note block here, and then more observers facing the note block. And then, as always, you guessed it, observers. The next layer, we're starting in the middle, but this time we're only doing 3 across because we are almost at the top, which means we're also going to take our tough brick blocks, skip 1, and come out to here. That way we can place our stairs arching up like so. We're going to place another pair of tough brick blocks there, as well as stone bricks on the outside, and repeat that over here as well. So tough brick blocks with some stairs arched down, 2 more tough brick blocks, and then stone bricks on the outside. From here, we can add our pale oak trap doors once again to our temporary blocks, our 2-tick repeaters facing all of those, and then we're adding our deep slate on either side and filling in the back just like that. For this layer, we're not starting with white wool because we don't actually need any more. Instead, we're going to add redstone dust here and on top of this observer there. And then we're going to place another note block on top of this note block here. We're going to skip 2, place 1 here. And then we're going to put 2 observers facing this one between both note blocks. And then we should be able to place 3 observers here, here, and here. And that should really be all that's necessary up on this layer. You can actually take away this piece of wool if you want. That is extra. I realized afterwards that that's not really necessary. It's from an original design. And yeah, that's what the layer looks like. Our redstone is effectively done. Now it's just the decorating. So we're going to come into the middle with the tough bricks, and we're going to place 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can place our tough brick stairs on either side. We're going to fill the back with more of the tough bricks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to carry our stone bricks all the way out on each side. And then we're going to fill deep slate tiles here just to maintain that consistency. And then I do encourage you to place 2 white wool blocks on top of these note blocks. Otherwise, they will make noise when the machine is running. But maybe you like the noise, or you can place like anything on here. I think string even works. And for the very last layer, we are going to come in and place just a couple of slabs across the middle here and a run of stone bricks, whatever wall color it is that we have, just to finish decorating the wall of our fan. And that should be everything you need to make your fan work. Before testing it, of course, make sure that you come around to the front and clear out all of your temporary blocks, because you won't be able to see your fan working if you have all of these blocks in front of it. So just go ahead and knock all of those out. And then, if you've done everything correctly, and by that I mean if I have done everything correctly, it should work. Let's turn it on and find out. And as it turns out, I did make a small mistake, but it's super easy to fix. On the comparator clock, both of these repeaters are set to 2-tick. The fix is just to set this one here that the comparator is facing into to 1-tick. And that's it. Now you can turn it on and enjoy your working, beautiful fan. And of course, you can go crazy with all the different texturing and extra accoutrements that you want to add, like the iron bars and chains and whatnot. I mean, have fun with it, decorate it up. But I've given you the basics and you can run from here. Definitely tag me in any builds that you make with this awesome fan, because I'd love to see it. And again, a huge thank you to Pineappley for giving me the permission to showcase kind of the original design, as well as some of my adjustments to it to make it work a little bit better. So have fun, and I'll see you all in our next adventure. Bye!